Hello and welcome back to Beckler Guitars and Repair, and today we're checking out an SG that has some interesting history. This is a 2013 Gibson SG Standard, but it doesn't really look like a standard. Let's check it out. Alright, travel with me, if you will, back to the year 2012. Gibson was offering SG Standards for about $2,000, and they were also offering 61 Reissue for $3,300. So that's a pretty big difference in price. Then, in 2013, Gibson discontinued the 61 Reissue and then released a new version of the Standard for $2,000. The new version of the Gibson SG Standard was identical to the 61 Reissue in terms of specs, materials, dimensions, everything. The only difference was the headstock. The 61 Reissue had the big paddle headstock, and the Standard had the normal size headstock. So imagine that you bought a 61 Reissue in 2012 for $3,300, and then found out that the next year that Gibson had released a Standard of the same specs as yours for $1,300 cheaper. And that's US. So yeah, this guitar kind of stirred up a little bit of controversy. A lot of people say that Gibson reissued these standards because the 61 reissues were not selling, and there's all sorts of rumors of that these guitars were actually the 61 reissues with a shaved down headstock, and it's actually the same guitar, and you know, other conspiracy theories like that. But at the end of the day, you get 61 reissue specs for a lot less money on the 2013 Gibson Standard. And I think that was the case for a couple more years. I think the 2013, the 2014, and the 2015 all had the same specs, so very similar to a 61 reissue. So yeah, I picked this one up locally. It's in pretty nice shape. There's a couple little things that we'll get into when we get it on the bench. But yeah, it's a pretty cool guitar. I'm really getting into SGs lately. I really like the weight. I really like the access to the higher frets. And I especially like any SGs with 57 Classics, because I think they're quickly becoming one of my favorite sets of humbuckers. So yeah, alright, let's go ahead and get this thing on the bench and have a closer look at the specs. Alright, so specs on this guitar: we've got our standard 3-way switch, we've got 2 volumes, 2 tones, our output jacks mounted to the body, we've got 2 classic 57 pickups, and our pickguard is just like the single pickguard style, not the batwing. Like on the 61 reissues, they don't have the big batwing pickguard where the pickups are mounted directly to the pickguard. Those are fine, but sometimes you can get pickup lean, so because they're mounted to the pickguard, sometimes your pickup can be leaning either right or left. On the 61 reissue models, they have actual pickup rings, so that combats that problem. And yeah, it's got the nice rosewood fingerboard, acrylic inlays, and the neck is bound with the fret nibs. And I got this one for quite a good deal because it was missing a few things. So I've got these parts on order and they should be coming right away. But it's missing the truss cover, but we can see our truss rods in good shape. No threads are showing. And we've got the nice mother of pearl inlay on the headstock. And it was also missing the back cavity cover. So yeah, all the electronics look original. There's a date on the pots there, and nothing looks to be messed with. I still got the screws for the back plate, just missing the back plate. But again, I ordered one, should be arriving soon. And our heel here is nice and flat, so that's the same on the 61 reissues. This one has the same spec. And this is a 60 slim taper neck. It does feel a little chunkier than some though. And then we've got our green Kluson Deluxe tuners. And there's our serial number. This is the year where the mini tune system was optional. So these may have been replaced from the mini tunes. But I believe that the original specs, they came with Tone Pro. So these are likely replaced, but they're good tuners nonetheless. And there's a look at our serial number, which dates it to 2013, and then impressed on the headstock it says made in USA 2013 model. Alright, let's get the weight. Weighing in at a very nice 6 pounds 11 ounces. Our bridge pickup is reading a 7.76, and our neck pickup a 7.72, and middle position 3.86. So yeah, that's within spec for 57 Classics. Width at the nut is a 1.7, and at the 12th fret a 2.1. Neck depth at the first fret is a 0.81, and at the 12th fret a 0.89. Here's a look at our neck profile. So yeah, pretty standard C. It does flatten out a little bit by the 12th, but pretty standard. And it feels, it's a 60 slim taper neck, and it does feel a little thinner, but it's got a little bit of chunk to it. So it seems like a 60s with maybe a little extra on there. Alright, here's a look at our pickups. So here's our bridge pickup. Lots of lead on there. Alright, so yeah, it's a 57 Classic dated to 2013. I'm just going to set that aside actually. And I'll look at our neck pickup. It's in there pretty tight. So yeah, there's a look at our neck pickup. Same story, 57 Classic, dated to 2013. And let's have a look at our cavities here. So we've got our long neck tenon. It goes all the way to the end of the pickup cavity. And it looks like we've got some writing in there, EB, probably for ebony. And it doesn't look like there's any writing in the bridge cavity, but the routs look nice and clean. And there's just a little bit of buff and compound in there. And that's about it. So yeah, everything looks as it should. Here's a look at our Nashville style bridge, and it's branded API. And here's a look at the tailpiece, which is also branded Advanced Plating Incorporated. And if you were ever wondering what's under the pickguard on a 61 reissue style, it's nothing. It's just a pickguard covering the body. There's also a little bit of a cover here just above the neck pickup. Just a little piece of plastic with 2 screws, nothing else. Usually SGs don't need this because or SG standards don't need this because they got the bigger bat wing style pickguard that goes right up to the neck. But they do that to cover the neck joint here because it's a long neck tenon. That's all. Alright, here's a look at our controls cavity, which is easy because there's no back plate on this guitar. Still got the original screw, so I'm not sure what the story is. Maybe it cracked and they were waiting for another one. Anyway, I've got another one on order, so I should have that soon. But you can see our Gibson branded pots there. There's a date on this one, dating it to 2013. We've got our ceramic disc capacitors, and there's our pickups, leads. Everything looks factory original and as it should, and our route looks nice and clean. Alright, let's take a look at our condition. The headstock's got a few little chips on the back here. You'll see that when I turn it around. But overall, it's not bad. A couple little scratches here and there. And our truss rod looks good. No threads showing. So lots of room for adjustment. The nut is kind of interesting. So I can tell that this is the original nut. Just because on the side here, if my camera will focus, on the side here you can see there's still finish on the edge of the nut. So that means it's never been replaced. It came from the factory like this. And this is a bone nut. The weird thing is there's extra grooves for the strings in the top. So when I first got this, actually my E string was in the wrong groove, so I had to put it back where it needed to be because it was, the string spacing was off. I've seen this happen before on a Gibson. It's almost like they cut the nut incorrectly the first time, but then they fixed it and just slapped it on there. Either that or the original nut was too high, and then eventually at some point it was sanded down, and then they lost the string grooves when they did that, so they had to recut them. Either way, they are in the correct slots now, and I did check the spacing and it's right on, but there are a couple little extra grooves in the top. Because of that, so it doesn't affect anything, but something to take note of. And here's a look at our fingerboard. Wow, it's really dark and it's really red, and it looks really great. And I did a quick fret buff on this guitar, so they're super shiny and super polished. There's a little bit of fret wear if you look really close in some areas, specifically up here. So where we were used to own this guitar last was used to solo a lot. You rarely see enough wear to actually show anything up in this spot. So there was a very dedicated guitar player who owned this last. But again, it's just very minor fret wear, and no leveling or anything like that is needed, just some basic wear. And let's have a look at the body here. Body's in nice condition. It's a black guitar, so it shows absolutely everything. There's some scuffs and impressions and dings here and there, but nothing too major. I'll see if I can capture some in the light here. Yeah, I think there's like one little impression here, and some scuffs and some dings. There's a little impression there, and yeah, but overall, quite nice shape. There's something about an aged black guitar that looks pretty cool, so there's that. And on the back, on the side here, we've got a few little dings and chips. I think the worst of it's kind of by the back cavity here. A couple little chips there, and a little bit of wear here on the side. And the missing back cavity panel, but that's in the mail. Should have that pretty soon. And the body's just got a few scratches and dings and impressions. A little bit of here. Looks like somebody bit it. That could be from just smacking against something while he was playing, or who knows. But our neck is in really nice shape. No marks or anything that you can feel on the neck. It's maybe one slight little impression there, but overall the neck's in nice shape. And those are our Clouson Deluxe vintage style machine heads. Those are nice ones. Looks like he used the same screw holes if he did replace them. I think these originally came with Tone Pros or the Mini Tune system. I'm just going to have to tighten that up here. It looks like a little bit loose. The rest seem fine. And there's our serial number, and there's the chipping a little bit on the edge there that I was talking about. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and see what kind of a setup I can get on this guitar. Alright, yeah, I managed to get a nice setup on this SG, so let's have a look here. When I'm using my notch straight edge, you can see that there's just very little space between the straight edge and the fingerboard, so that tells me that the truss rod's set nice and straight. Yeah, here in the 3rd fret, you can see that when I use the 3rd fret, you can see that the string's resting just gently against that 1st fret. So that tells me that not only is the truss rod set nice and tight, the neck's nice and straight, but this nut is cut well. That gives me good action here in the cowboy chord area. 12th fret at our low E is set at a very low 1.25 millimeters, and at the high E it's all the way down to about a 0.75. And I'm just going to run through the fingerboard just to make sure there's no fretting out or buzzing anywhere. I like to speed up this part, but if you want to hear it in real time, just slow down the player to 25%. Not only is the action super low, but there's no buzzing anywhere or fretting out, so I could even get the action lower on this if I wanted to. It plays great. The frets are super polished, so it's very easy to bend, and yeah, just very nice playing guitar. The neck feels really good. Alright, let's go ahead and plug it in and see how it sounds. Alright, I'm plugged into my 65 Deluxe Reverb Reissue, aka the One True King rig. And I'm going to go ahead and run through the tones. We're going to do clean first, and then a little bit of dirt. Let's see how it sounds. I also just wanted to mention I'm using an Audio-Technica P48 condenser microphone with phantom power, as well as my SM57. It's about 3 inches away from the amplifier. So that way I'm getting the SM57 as well as a little bit of room sound from the Audio-Technica mic. So let me know in the comments if you think the sound is improved at all. Sounds really great clean. I really like the 57 Classics, and this is no exception. Sounds great. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in with a little bit of distortion. I'm using a pretty transparent overdrive. It's a germanium overdrive. right, final thoughts on the 2013 Gibson SG Standard. Yeah, it's a great guitar. It's basically a 61 reissue with a slightly smaller headstock, but all the other specs are the same. And this particular example is very nice and light. It plays great with super low action, and the frets are all super polished, so it bends like a dream. And the 57 Classics in it are one of my favorite humbuckers from Gibson, and they sound fantastic. So yeah, just a really nice playing and sounding guitar. Cosmetically, it's got a couple chips and dings and doinks, but overall, fairly nice shape. I'm just waiting on the truss cover and the cavity cover in the mail. And it comes with the original Gibson case. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to keep this one. I've just got too many bills to pay. Christmas is coming. So this will be available on the Reverb page if you're interested. And if you decide to take it, I think you're going to like it. This is a really nice SG. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. Thank you for tuning in to Beckler Guitars and Repair. And I'm going to have more for you really soon. Thanks a lot.